he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Well, good day, friends. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Franky. Welcome to the Think Tank. So I would like to talk about Dylan Rounds again today. The whole James Brenner finally being charged. His dad spoke out a little bit, and Candus has spoke up a little bit. So let's take a look at what's been going on lately. I want to keep his case in the news. James Brenner, he needs to go down. This is the second time he's been charged with this type of thing. And what's happened is that a family has lost their child. So let's take a look here. Parents of Dylan Rounds. This is from People. So we'll just go through a little bit here. Parents of Dylan Rounds say they can start moving forward after suspect has been charged with unaliving him. So the 19-year-old who was unalived in Utah on a piece of land that he had bought was your true American farmer, according to his mom, Candus. So the parents of Dylan Rounds, who was allegedly unalived in 2022, so they are ready to move forward now that he's finally been arrested for unaliving their son, formally charged. So James Brenner, 59 years old, was charged last Friday with one count of aggravated unaliving in the death of Dylan Rounds and one count of abuse or desecration of a human body, according to court records as per the East Idaho News. So for us as a family, Dylan, this was a huge win. We cannot be swept under the rug. It's out there, charges are filed, and we can start moving forward, Candace Cooley said last Thursday. So Dylan, we know, had purchased that land, and he wanted to start growing, I think it was, might have been wheat. It was something that could be grown in that very, very harsh atmosphere. And it was his dream to have something of his own. It was said before that he wanted to develop the whole area down there. That was a great dream and something great to keep in mind, to work towards. He was very motivated. So it says that he purchased hundreds of acres in Lucin, and he last spoke to his grandmother in May 2022, telling her that he was moving his grain truck, so he was growing grain, from his camper in northwest Utah near the Nevada state border to a shed about 5 miles away to escape the rainstorm and getting all of that damaged. So his mom, who lives in Idaho, found out on May 30th that nobody in the family had spoke to Dylan since that last contact with his grandmother. 3 or 4 days without him talking to anyone. And she said by the fifth day in a row, they knew that he was always in contact with somebody. So they went down to this farm. Once there, Candus said they found the grain truck in the shed, and a search and rescue team later discovered his boots behind a pile of dirt, one of which had a drop of red stuff that was confirmed to be blood. So Brenner was squatting on land where the grain truck was kept, and he had a gate up, and Dylan needed this gate down. So he contacted James Brenner. So during a search of his trailer on June 16th, they found ball ammunition, ignition caps, black powder, speed loads, all related to a muzzle loading gun. In another search on June 21st, they confiscated boxes of ammunition and the muzzle loader. So on June 20th, Don H., which was another neighbor, told authorities that after Dylan disappeared, that James Brenner was interviewed by authorities. James Brenner allegedly brought 3 black powder guns to his house and asked him to keep them safe. When Don H. asked why, James Brenner said he needed to do for his own safety. And the last time he had trouble with the law, they took everything from him, and he did not want his things taken again. So court documents were filed, and it shows that investigators conducted a digital forensic download of Dylan's phone and discovered a video on it with a timestamp at around the time that Dylan disappeared. The video showed, good Lord, the defendant with bloodstains on his arms, shirt, and he was cleaning the same off of a gun. The shirt the defendant was wearing in the video was analyzed, and sadly, Dylan's DNA was found on the shirt. So Candace Cooley said that ever since Dylan was young, he always dreamed of having his own farm. And she previously had said to people, he was your true American farmer. Dylan would have been one of those good old boys in the overalls, in the coffee shop, chewing straw, drinking coffee. That's what he was born to be. So we know that James now has been, has been in jail since then. They did get those guns. They were able to start putting things together. So let's see here. This is from Dylan Rounds. This is Dylan's dad. And this was the area that Dylan was living in. So the father of Dylan Rounds, the 19-year-old who vanished from his farm, believes a conversation he had with the man, James Brenner, that eventually was arrested for his son, might shed some light. So this is his mother, Candus, as we know, and this is his dad, Justin. So he recalled going to Lucin, where Dylan was last seen, and said he struck up a conversation with James Brenner, the squatter that lived on their land, and also the fellow, as we know, that was arrested for, well, not arrested, charged with Dylan's unaliving. So after spending months in a county jail on all those firearms violations back in last June when they picked him up, he had 2 warrants out for him, federal. So when he got there, James was talking about how Dylan backed into his horse gate. He was frustrated, and I didn't think a whole lot about it, but that could have been what set him off. So he is known to have a quick temper, and to the other things that he has been in jail for, the other violent crimes, it's snap. He just snaps. So charged in Dylan Rounds, DNA evidence, but they are still looking for Dylan. James Brenner has been incarcerated at the Webster County Jail since last year. So according to jail records, the firearm stemmed from the search of Brenner's trailer during an investigation into Dylan's disappearance that turned up a host of weapons. So he was a suspect from that time on. So they may have waited until all of the work was done with the electronics. Maybe that is the reason that they waited so long. So Dylan Round's location was found, and it was found abandoned near a pond. I believe they were in the pond, that it was in the pond. A time-lapsed video featured Brenner and time-stamped and was discovered on Dylan's phone. It was his device. As we know, he had a lot to clean up there. Just gonna look here. So let's see here. Brenner had faced several previous felony convictions, investigators wrote, including a 2012 conviction for felony possession of a firearm that landed him 33 months in jail in the Huskow. Another interview with the FBI on June 21st, Don H. mentioned that Brenner had also given him a .22 caliber rifle loaded with 5 rounds of ammunition around the same time as the other weapons. The neighbor told authorities that he did not initially hand the rifle over because he had been owed money by the rifle's original owner and felt that he should have a claim over the gun to cover the debt. Doesn't even make sense, does it? I don't know if there's more to this or not. Okay, despite a thorough search, investigators have not yet been able to find the remains of Dylan's rounds due to the defendant removing it and concealing it. So this was in that probable cause we went over. We don't have a conviction and we don't have Dylan's body, but we won the first battle, Candus said on Saturday. For us, this is a win. We have fought so hard for these charges. She said she's confident that a search party basically made up of Dylan's family and friends will turn up his remains. They said, well, here she goes. When the weather breaks, we can get out there. And if some sort of deal hasn't been cut and we're still facing trial, we will spend the whole summer out there finding our son. We will find him. They are very, very much dedicated to finding Dylan. So I'm just going to take a quick look here because some of these documents are quite large. So we have August 15th, 2022. This document is going to be I do believe this is a letter written by Justin and Candus, yes. So, August 15th, 2022, re Dylan Round's missing person in criminal case, Lucian, Utah. Good morning. Please accept this letter as a request to have the Dylan Round's missing person investigations be turned over to the state of Utah and the FBI. Foul play has been identified and a suspect in Dylan Round's disappearance is currently in custody on unrelated gun charges. So we know who they're talking about, don't we? So foul play, yes. While state law enforcement agencies are not subordinate to the FBI, the investigative resources of the FBI can be used in a common effort to investigate and solve cases. My 19-year-old son, Dylan Rounds, was reported missing from Lucin, Utah on May 30th, 2022. Please see timeline of events that I have attached. I filed a missing persons report with the Box Elder County Sheriff via telephone. They advised me that they would bring the paperwork for us to sign the next day. To date, they have never had either Dylan's father or myself sign the report. We were also advised that the location of Dylan is missing from the location that Dylan is missing from requires a great deal of travel on their part, and they do not like having to dispatch officers to the area that is known to have criminal activity. Did I just read that right? That they do not like having to dispatch officers to an area that is known to have criminal activity. Wow. As you can see, after you have reviewed the timeline, multiple errors, omissions, lies, misconduct, and involvement of the sheriff's wife in an active criminal investigation has seriously compromised the integrity of the case and calls to question the desire or ability of the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to adequately cover this case. They did not report Dylan missing to the NamUs databank until 4 weeks after his disappearance. Additionally, the Utah Department of Public Safety, citing Utah Code 53-10-203, requires the following. Number one, each law enforcement agency that is investigating a report of a missing person shall provide information regarding that report to the division. The report shall include descriptive information and the date and location of the last known contact with the missing person. That division shall notify the State Register of Vital Statistics and the FBI National Crime Information Center of all missing persons reported in accordance with subsection 1, and shall provide the State Register with information concealing the identity of those missing persons. Susan's Law, Section 3701A of the Criminal Control Act of 1990 and Protection Act of 2003 requires the following. A, in general, each federal, state, and local law enforcement agency shall report each case of a missing child under the age of 21. Dylan was 19. Reported to such agency to the National Crime Information Center of the Department of Justice. A search of the Utah Department of Public Safety fails to bring up Dylan's information, which indicates the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office has not reported Dylan's disappearance as per the Utah Department of Public Safety requirements. Multiple calls to the Utah Department of Public Safety have gone unanswered or returned. Box Elder County Sheriff's Office has failed to report Dylan's disappearance to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which works to recover missing children and adults ages 18 to 21 who are reported to NCMEC as missing by the law enforcement officials, Candus and Justin Rounds. So they were allegedly very, very negligent when it came to Dylan's case. There was multiple complaints other than this even. Let's see here. Okay, I want to read this here. -14 and snowing in the Rockies. How are you guys doing? So this is the new charges. We did look at this in a previous video, but let's just go through it fast one more time. State of Utah against James A. Brenner. The undersigned, as prosecuting attorney, states on information and belief that the above-named defendant in Box Elder County, State of Utah, committed the following crimes. aggravated unaliving, first-degree felony, in violation of Utah Code 76-5-202 as follows. That on or about May 28, 2022, the defendant did, first, intentionally or knowingly cause the unaliving of another, and the defendant, the actor, previously committed or was convicted of an offense committed in another jurisdiction, which, if committed in this state, would be a violation of crime listed in the subsection 1. An offense committed in another jurisdiction, which, if committed in the state, would be a violation of a crime listed in subsection 1. Count 2, abuse or desecration of a human body. Third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-9-704 as follows. That on or about May 28, 2022, the defendant did intentionally and unlawfully disturb, move, conceal, or destroy a dead human body or any part of it. The information is based on evidence obtained by Detective Zachary Richard Moore. So this is dated the 3rd day of March, 2022. So this is a factual basis, probable cause statement. 19-year-old victim was reported as a missing person on or about May 30th, 2022. Sheriff's deputies, along with search and rescue crews, immediately got to work on the efforts to locate the victim, but were unsuccessful. Well, there's many reasons. Look back, if you are interested in this case, on all of the stuff that was going on from the beginning with this case. So during the search, deputies recovered a pair of boots belonging to the victim nearby. One boot had a blood stain that DNA analysis confirmed belonged to Dylan. The victim's phone records were also obtained, which showed movement on the day of his disappearance on a remote property in Lucin, where the defendant was squatting. Phone data shows the last signal from the victim's phone was at the Lucin pond, and a search of the pond led to the discovery of the victim's phone. A digital forensic download of the phone was conducted and led to the discovery of a time-lapse video with a time stamp taken at the time of the victim's disappearance. The video, which defendant is wearing in the video, the video showed defendant with bloodstains on his arms and shirt as he was cleaning the gun. The shirt which defendant is wearing in the video was analyzed, and the victim's DNA was found on the shirt. Defendant was interviewed and made several claims and corroborated forensic evidence, in addition to making numerous demonstrably false statements, despite a thorough investigation and extensive search. Dylan's body has not been yet recovered due to the defendant removing and concealing it. So they seem to have a fair amount on James Brenner. Hopefully it's enough for a conviction. I believe there is more than enough, but as they say, innocent before proven guilty. I would like to maybe see him make a plea of some sort, whether it's just for his life or just be man enough to tell them what happened to Dylan. You know, the cops sat there. Well, literally, James Brenner cleaned out that grain truck. Cleaned out. Bags and bags went to the garbage, and they stood there for a day and a half talking, looking around, kicking their heels, whatever they were doing. And they even actually had to move at one point. They were around that pile of looking where Dylan's boots were found. James Brenner complained that they were disturbing him. The man at that time had 2 federal warrants for them, and they made everybody leave. So, yes, he cleaned out that truck right in front of law enforcement. And they did take the grain truck. Hopefully there's more information. I don't imagine he got it as clean as he might think. And yeah, let's do it. The Candus and Justin Rounds and the rest of their family and friends deserve to know what happened to Dylan. So, friends, thanks very much for staying here and visiting with me and learning a little bit more about what's going on with Dylan Rounds. Don't forget to like and share, subscribe. Totally a massive help for my channel. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll absolutely see you in the next one. Bye.